Poilievre destroys Mélanie Joly in Parliament as CBC shocks Liberals with brutal criticism. Pierre Poilievre destroys Mélanie Joly in Parliament as CBC shocks Liberals with brutal criticism. The confrontation unfolded during a heated question period where the Conservative leader took aim at the Liberals' management of foreign affairs, trade disputes, and domestic economic concerns under Prime Minister Mark Carney. Poilievre's attack was pointed and relentless, leaving Joly struggling to respond. CBC's unusually sharp critique of the government intensified the pressure, creating a moment of national attention that has sparked widespread discussion about the government's credibility and strategy. The clash occurred at a critical juncture for Canadian politics. Mark Carney leads a minority Liberal government, and every misstep is magnified under public scrutiny. Canadians are increasingly concerned about inflation, rising housing costs, and immigration pressures. Mélanie Joly, as Foreign Affairs Minister, often represents the government in high-profile debates and policy discussions, making her a central target for opposition criticism. Poilievre's attack was more than rhetorical. It tapped into a growing public sentiment that questions whether the Liberals are effectively protecting Canada's interests both at home and internationally. In Parliament, Poilievre focused on Liberal policy failures and unfulfilled promises in areas such as critical minerals, trade diversification, and economic strategy. He accused Joly of offering rhetoric instead of results, questioning Canada's readiness for the unpredictability of U.S. trade policies under Trump. Joly attempted to defend the government's record, stressing ongoing negotiations and commitments, but Poilievre's forceful delivery dominated the exchange. Observers noted that this confrontation highlighted a government appearing reactive rather than proactive, underlining the opposition's growing influence in shaping public discourse. CBC's unusually harsh critique shocked Parliament and viewers, breaking from its typical measured tone to question the Liberals' transparency and effectiveness in foreign affairs. This public rebuke bolstered Poilievre's arguments, making it seem that even centrist media doubt the government's performance. Analysts say the shift could influence voter perceptions, strengthening opposition narratives as frustration grows over the pace and effectiveness of Liberal policy during economic uncertainty and geopolitical tension. The confrontation came amid ongoing economic challenges. While inflation has eased toward the Bank of Canada's target, Canadians still face high living costs, including housing and essentials. U.S. tariffs threaten exporters, especially in natural resources. Poilievre stressed these pressures to argue the Liberals are failing Canadians, while the government insists it is managing risks. But public perception of rising costs leaves space for Conservatives to portray the Liberals as disconnected from everyday realities. Social frustration in Canada is rising, and Poilievre tapped into these concerns effectively. Citizens are dealing with affordability challenges, overstretched public services, and worries that immigration policies are intensifying pressure on housing and infrastructure. Liberals emphasize long-term planning and stability, but many voters feel impatient and under pressure. Poilievre's framing of accountability, urgency, and prioritizing Canadian families resonates strongly, especially when contrasted with Joly's careful explanations. The opposition leader's performance reflected and amplified broader social unease, enhancing his image as a determined defender of Canadian interests. Politically, the clash underscores how quickly momentum can shift in Parliament. Poilievre's strategic attack framed the Liberals as indecisive and reactive under American pressure, while CBC's criticism reinforced the narrative that the government is struggling to maintain credibility. Perception is crucial in politics, and the optics of a cornered Joly and a bluntly critical broadcaster could have lasting effects on public opinion. This confrontation demonstrates the delicate balance minority governments face, where every parliamentary debate carries weight and can shape the national narrative on governance, accountability, and policy outcomes. For the Liberals, risks from this confrontation are substantial. Public trust may erode if voters perceive them as mismanaging relations with the United States or failing to address domestic economic pressures effectively. Poilievre and the Conservatives are likely to leverage this perception to attack the government on multiple fronts, including energy policy, immigration, and fiscal management. With limited legislative strength in a minority setting, the Liberals face the challenge of defending policy while maintaining public confidence, all under the glare of media scrutiny and a watchful electorate increasingly attentive to accountability and results from those in power. Yet the government is not defenseless. Mark Carney's reputation as a former central banker and experienced economist lends credibility to his defense of trade and financial policy. Joly and other ministers argue that complex international agreements take time and Canada's successes are incremental. They stress ongoing negotiations, diversified trade, and measured responses to unpredictable U.S. policies, asserting that methodical planning is essential to protect long-term national interests and ensure economic and political stability. The United States' influence looms large. Trump's administration continues imposing tariffs and trade restrictions, creating unpredictable cross-border challenges. Ottawa must protect Canadian industries and jobs without escalating tensions. Every parliamentary misstep or perception of weakness is magnified. Poilievre's attacks highlight this vulnerability, reinforcing the public desire for decisive, transparent leadership that defends national sovereignty, strengthens economic stability, and safeguards Canada's international standing. Looking ahead, Canadians should expect continued high-stakes clashes in Parliament. Poilievre will likely press Joly and other ministers relentlessly, while CBC and other outlets may intensify scrutiny if government responses appear insufficient. The Liberals may announce new measures to support trade, shield businesses from tariffs, and address economic pressures. Ultimately, voter perception will hinge not only on policies, but on the government's ability to communicate results effectively and project competence amid ongoing economic and geopolitical uncertainty. Ultimately, Poilievre destroys Mélanie Joly in Parliament as CBC shocks Liberals with brutal criticism. Is more than a single confrontation. It signals a shift in Canadian politics. CBC's sharp critique, Poilievre's aggressive strategy, and Carney's government response reflect growing tensions over sovereignty, trade, and domestic issues. Canadians are watching closely, emphasizing the urgent need for tangible results. The key question remains whether Carney and his team can restore confidence before opposition pressure and media scrutiny reshape the national conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for latest updates.